and the EFF are planning to bring two separate motions of no confidence in Tshwane Mayor Solly Msimango today. The two parties have enough votes to oust the mayor if they combine their strength. Political analyst from the University of South Africa, Professor Dirk Coetzee, joins us now from our Pretoria studio. A very good morning, Prof. Thank you so much for making the time. Now, just in terms of numbers, what are the chances of Solly Msimango surviving this vote of no confidence today?
Well, the coalition consisting of the DA and the Freedom Front Plus and the COPE and ACDP are 99. They need 108 votes in order to have a majority out of the 217. The ANC has 89 plus 1 from the PAC if the PAC is going to vote along with him. So that is 90 in total. So they need 18. The EFF has 25 votes. And that is what makes the EFF really the kingmaker, the decisive factor in this vote about the motion. So it's all going to depend on which side the EFF is going to vote.
It was a historic moment in 2016 when the DA took charge of 3 metros in the country that were previously ANC held. It's turning around now. What can we read into the political landscape?
I think a decisive factor in what has happened in Nelson Mandela Bay and what is now possibly going to happen in Tshwane is the role of the EFF. The EFF has been or is in Johannesburg and Tshwane the major and decisive factor, and they give the majority to the DA alliance. In the case of Nelson Mandela Bay, not. But what is clear from what the EFF is saying, Julius Malema yesterday in a press conference also, is that he's accusing the mayor of Tshwane, Solly Msimango, that he does not consult. And I think it refers specifically to the way in which they dealt with the city manager that's accused of the contract that is so-called or is regarded as unprocedurally awarded. And that the mayor, Solly Msimango, did not consult the EFF about it. On the other hand, he says that Herman Mashaba, the mayor of Johannesburg, is indeed consulting. So what does that say to us? It says that the EFF insists that they must be the decisive factor in decision-making in all these 3 municipalities or metro councils, and that they have the idea that Solly Msimango is moving away from that agreement that exists between them, and therefore they are punishing him now for that. So I think that is the real essence. It's not so much about the success of the coalition government with the 4 smaller parties, but rather to what extent the EFF believes that they are in the key position in order, or even have the veto power, in order to determine decision-making in all 3 of these metros.
Prof, when the DA came out of their federal meeting in Johannesburg last night, they decided that they're not even trying to negotiate their way out of this motion of no confidence. Is that a good decision?
I think for all the parties at this stage, it's very much a matter of principle. They are getting very close to next year's election, and I think all of them want to demonstrate to the public and to the voters that they are worth being supported in next year's election. The EFF want to show and to demonstrate, for example, today that they are very firmly anti-corruption, that they will act against corruption, even if it jeopardizes their cooperation with the DA in Tshwane. The ANC wants to be in a key position in terms of controlling as many metros as possible before next year's election. And the DA is saying, well, if we have to sacrifice our principles in order to have cooperation with the EFF, then we are not going to do it. And that created the standoff that we have at the moment. And I think it's only going to be after the outcome of this motion that the parties possibly will start talking with each other again. But for the moment, they have positioned themselves for this, and it's very unlikely that there's any movement or any compromises they can reach before the voting that will happen today.
Prof, it's interesting what you're saying, that the EFF is demonstrating its non-tolerance for corruption. At the weekend, the leader of the Democratic Alliance, Mmusi Maimane, was saying that Julius Malema is showing that he now supports the new government of Cyril Ramaphosa, since he had previously said he will do anything in his power to remove Jacob Zuma, which he has achieved, and he's now showing a pushback. So what do you mean when they say they're showing non-tolerance? Are they trying to show a strong hand in terms of how they can sway decisions? Or is this an indication of a move towards cooperation with the African National Congress?
No, I want to go back to my initial point, is that they want to be in the key position in the metros. They want to be the power behind the decision makers that will actually determine the decision that will be made. So it's about the establishing power at the local government level, at the level of the metros, that they can claim that without their approval, no decision can be taken in either Tshwane or Johannesburg, or now even in Nelson Mandela Bay. So it's not about cooperation with any political party, it's rather to position themselves in a very strategic position in order to ultimately claim that they were actually the ones who controlled these three metros. So whether it is that they have cooperated with the DA in the past, or now we had to cooperate with the UDM in Nelson Mandela Bay, and by implication the ANC then also, that is of a secondary importance. The matter about the anti-corruption, I don't think it's the main issue. But that's the message that they want to give to the public, is to say that that is why we are doing it. They obviously won't reveal that what is really behind it, in my view, is the position about keymaker, about having the veto power in all of these metro councils.
So should the motion succeed today, and all anticipation is that it will, the metro goes back to the African National Congress. What kind of recognition will the African National Congress give the EFF?
Well, they will be forced in order to give them that recognition, because it's absolutely impossible to reach this position without the support of the EFF. At the same time, the EFF is most likely not to become part of a coalition with the ANC. They will most possibly continue in this position where they are giving strategic support at important points, like, for example, the election of a mayor or the passing of a budget, or like now in the case of a motion of no confidence, but they won't join the executive. They won't become members of the mayoral committee. That's the position they've taken also in Nelson Mandela Bay and in the past in Johannesburg as well as Tshwane. And in that sense, I think they will continue. So it means that the ANC, maybe together with the PAC, will actually be still in the minority position in Tshwane. There will be a minority government, as the DA was with their four members, their four coalition partners. But that it gives then, again, the EFF the decisive position of whenever an important decision is taken in the council, then the ANC-led government at local level will have to go to the EFF in order to negotiate their support for that decision.
Prof, beyond academic analyses, as a resident of Tshwane, what was your sense of service delivery during the short spell that the DA has been in power?
The DA very much has indicated that they want to make a difference. They've cleaned out a lot of the problems in Tshwane. They've changed, for example, the office of the mayor, the office of the speaker, the office of the chief whip, from a completely bloated institutions with far too many people there who didn't know what their work descriptions were, into a more leaner institution. They've changed the budget to be more focused. They have, to a large extent, tried to deal with the financial problems in Tshwane, the budget deficit that existed, the problems there with electrical prepaid meter system that became a huge issue during the previous government year. So these things they have addressed. I think the problems with service delivery is still is something which cannot be sorted out in the short term. They've started to deal with that. More maintenance than that was done in the past. So I think there were some steps taken, but for it really to make a difference, it requires actually more than 5 years to show really positive results.
Prof, as always, lovely conversation. We thank you so much for your thoughts. Professor Dirk Coetzee is with UNISA and joining us from our Pretoria